Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. I have 0 questions.
And my shoulder hurts.
You need to start posting the thirst trap pictures with the question box to see if you get more traction that way, you know?
Yeah, I should.
She'd get 82 questions. We
I would
wouldn't
get
even
so
have
many
to do this. We
questions.
could just shut up and listen to all your questions.
This is true. But that is not the case.
Steve, can we do Hackstar? Bro, I'm just trying to feel my arm right now. Just trying to. But
So
yeah,
you want to go first, Steve, or you want me to go first? We'll just roll out each of us just, get through our questions and then move on to the next one.
How many you got?
I only have like 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got 4.
All right, so I'll start. So first and foremost, do you guys review lab works for people? And I think they said for people that you don't PT or something like that. Do you review lab work for people other than clients? Is what I think they were asking. So yes, we
Yes.
do consults. You could always hit us up for a consult. And we do that separate from working with somebody. That we do follow-up emails with the kind of, an outline for what we went over, a plan for maybe fixing the blood work if there's something that's necessary to get continued work on, and then we do follow-up calls based on additional lab work. We can also help people get lab work through us. So if you want to get blood work, but you want to get a consult on that blood work, but you're not sure where to start, we could also get you to lab work and get a full workup. The problem with people coming to us with blood work sometimes is that there's just not enough information to go off of there. And then we have to send people for follow-up lab work anyway. So you'd always start with us, get a full panel, so we don't have any questions that are kind of left to be answered.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like publicize it, but I mean, I've done that like 4 or 5 times, I think, over the last year, where people are like, "Hey, can you read my blood work?" And I'm like, "All right, it's X amount." Like, but then every single one, I'm like, "Yeah, your thyroid shit's not on here," and they're like, "Yeah, huh? The doctor said it's fine. It's the TSH and it's 4.3."
Just here's the TSH, yeah.
First of all, your TSH is high, and second off, it doesn't tell you anything. I'm like, you need like 3 or 4 more things for your thyroid, and then I'm like, I just don't want to take your money yet until, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you just to get fucking money. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you need to go back to your doctor and tell them you want everything, and I'll type out like the fucking 20 things, and then like a week later they'll resend it, but.
It's
Like,
also one of those things too, where it's like it all depends, like it's all linked together. Like you see a TSH is 4. We were literally just on a call where people were going over a TSH and they were 4. A doctor put them on thyroid medication because of the high level of TSH. Their TSH dropped so far that the person felt like shit, right? Because of the medication. So then they pulled them off the medication, the TSH jumped back up. So it's more than just looking at that one
yeah,
individual thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like for us, I'm not saying it's mandatory that you get your lab work done through us, but if somebody needs
right.
lab work done,
You
in
want to
most
tell them what
cases,
to tell them what to check.
yeah, tell them what to check, which that in and of itself, bringing a script or bringing something that we're telling you to get done at a doctor isn't always going to be met with the easiest response from the doctor in terms of them just saying, yeah, sure, we'll run all this shit. They have to go through a whole process in terms of coding. They have to go through for us, it's a little bit more direct in terms of the panel that we get is comprehensive at the very beginning. And then again, we have all the questions. I mean, we have all, yeah, well, we'll have all the questions that we need to answer in front of us. You know what I mean? Or the answers to the questions.
Have
However
you
the fuck
guys
you want.
ever had a client go back to their doctor with, the everything that we get done and they say yes? Because I've never, ever, ever had a doctor say, like,
Yeah,
actually get us everything.
if it's my primary down here that I send local clients to, yeah, because she's
Ah,
cool as shit.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I was
She
gonna say.
she's
There's got to
cool.
be a relationship with the doctor. I've
Yeah,
had
I've been
people.
seeing her. Nina's been going to her since fucking high school, and then 8 years ago I started going to her, and I mean, she's cool with like all like the PEDs. Like, when I say cool, she's not, she doesn't sit there and like fucking tell you like you shouldn't be taking, like, she's super cool where she's like, I'm not going to push no vaccines on you. I'm not going to fucking lecture you. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm not giving you blood work because you take anabolics. There where she just fucking does her job. And then she's like, okay, what's Steve want? And she'll turn the fucking computer screen around and just be like, this. And she's very honest too. She's like, listen, I just don't know if the insurance will cover this, for example. Like, we don't have a reason why we need your hormones checked, but I'm going to put it in, right? And if they don't cover it, they're going to call you and tell you this is covered, but this isn't, right? So she's super cool about it. And then they do the blood work right in the office. So I'm like, listen, just get a liter of water down, about 40 ounces. Go tomorrow morning or whenever you can, get it fasted, like as soon as they open at 8 a.m. because they do the labs in the office.
Yeah,
Gabby had mentioned, go
Oh,
ahead, Marina. what
I
were
was
you
gonna
saying?
say, Sammy had a good point here. If you are having trouble getting lab work and don't want to go through whoever we go through, whatever's want to do it on your own, life extensions is always a good
Oh,
Yeah, the only
option.
problem is in Jersey, you might not be
It's
able to get
fine.
that done.
It's
Sammy's
fine.
in PA.
You
No, it's
Is
fine.
it?
3 of my clients just did it and they're all around here. I was shocked. I told all 3 of them, like, yo, I don't like, listen, you gotta put a PA address because I've had to use life extension twice. I had to put my grandparents' address in Philly.
Yeah.
And I went to Center City to get it done. And then I had 3 people literally in the last 2 weeks, like, yo, Steve, I got it and I brought it right into Walgreens and at LabCorp and they just took it.
Oh,
Yeah, so there is that. I would just say, as far as like through us, if you have insurance, we'll get done a full panel for $100.
Yeah.
yeah.
Through life extensions, that same panel is probably going to cost
300.
somewhere between $300 and $400.
Yeah.
I think it's like
With those.
250 or something.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say about that, Gabby, with the doctor missing some things, usually I think that's, them, yeah, are they purposely missing it is the question there. You know what I mean? Where they haven't had to look up that test in some time and they don't know how to position it from either an insurance perspective or through the lab that you're working with, they don't know how to request it. But either way, getting a good reading on your lab work is hard to do, especially if you're a female. It's really, really, really hard to do because when you're looking at it, from the doctor's perspective, you're looking at it from reference ranges. Those reference ranges sometimes
They
are just so
suck.
fucking wide.
They're
Yeah, like a
fucking
white
suck.
blood cell count, for example, if you're up to that peak level of white blood cell count, like you're still within range, but your white blood cell count is way too high. And we have to understand like why. What else are we looking at within those white blood cells that are elevated? Are we looking at a gut health issue? Are we looking at some sort of like chronic underlying infection? And then, hormonally for a female, which we all know about too, it's like, what are we looking at here when your estrogen comes back at whatever 40 and it's still in range and the doctor's like, yeah, it's no big deal. It's like, no, 40 is not where your estrogen should be at. So even if you have something to go off of and you want to get that read appropriately, we definitely do blood work consults to be able to kind of put it in perspective. And then at the very least, it kind of arms you with a little bit more education, understanding when you go back to the physician.
I actually had a question about estrogen too.
So I guess that answers that question, and we'll get to I guess you want to do yours then, and we'll go back and forth, or you want to do all mine and we'll do all yours?
I mean, I'll just ask the estrogen one real quick, just because we're on the topic. This woman just put in my box. What's an optimal estrogen range at 30 years old after one kid that's 3 years old? So obviously she hasn't been pregnant for 3 years, right? And then during what day of my cycle is optimal to get an accurate reading? So I always say day 19 to 22. Like right around there, the luteal phase usually going to give you the most accurate.
Why, Marina? Why is that the most accurate
For estrogen?
for all of it? Why would we tell a female to get their
Well,
hormones tested
specifically
19,
for
22?
progesterone, because that's when it's the highest. That's after you ovulate.
Yep.
But as
Also
far as
luteinizing hormone.
luteinizing, yeah. As far as estrogen, as long as you know where you're at, you can in your cycle, you can tell.
Yeah. So the range, obviously, where you're at those different ranges for what's part of your cycle you're in. I'm sorry. But I mean, I had one girl, her estrogen was 150 during the luteal phase, and her doctor told her that it was too low.
Yeah, no, it's insane.
And I was like, what are you talking about? That's literally perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. To answer the question, that's usually what I'm looking for. I want to see most optimally somebody be around 100 to 150 picograms per deciliter for estrogen. But again, each based on where somebody's at in their cycle.
Right.
And honestly, it's one of those things too, where you have to give context. Like what do we do? Are we dieting right now? Are we well fed? Are we, close to a postpartum state? Like, where are we relative to that individual, right? Like 30 years old is going to be a lot different than maybe somebody that's 45 years old. You know what I mean? Like we're going to allow for a little bit deviance on one end of the spectrum or the other. But yeah, I would usually say a good range for a 30-year-old where everything's like healthy, normal. I would say between 100 and 150, but I'm not going to freak out if we're close to one of those numbers
No.
either. Somebody could be 160 and be perfectly fine, have a normal cycle, feel
Yeah.
good every day. Somebody could be 80 and have a perfectly normal cycle, feel really good. And it's just a matter of what are we trying to accomplish in terms of the next goal?
Yeah, I think it's more like when you're an extreme, whether it's much higher or much lower, right? Like you said, 160, 80, you're not freaking out as long as like they're not getting their period too early, too late, missing all that, right? Not getting it for a day, stopping, whatever. But like,
Right.
I would say if it's like day 20 of their cycle and they're at like, and they're 30 years old and they get a healthy period and then, or they don't, I'm sorry, and then estrogen goes back at like 30, 20, like then it's like, okay, something's going on.
Yeah. So it's too low.
Or too high, and then it's like, okay, your estrogen dominant. Why? You know, what the fuck is going on? Why is it so high?
But I would just mention here that like that's the number one thing that I see that's frustrating when it comes to lab work for women is not being told when to get their labs tested. Right. We were again just on a call where somebody mentioned that their clients were told to get tested the third day of menstruation.
I just had someone send me labs and it was day 1 of period. And I was like,
Yeah, that makes no sense. Day one is like the worst. Like honestly,
that's literally what I said. I was like, okay.
the only reason I could even think that a doctor would tell somebody to get it done the third day of menstruation is because usually we'll see estrogen start to rise after 2 days of menstruation. So maybe they're looking specifically at estrogen and where that's going. But again, at that point, it's kind of like, why wouldn't we just get it done 19 to 22 days after the first day of menstruation to be able to get a more full concept of what's going on there, right? Because again, within that, like we obviously have follicular, you can even break it down more than that, like early follicular phase, ovulation, luteal phase. But, even within that, there's going to be different measurements that we're going to look for. But again, I would say anything outside of that luteal phase, there's some things that just aren't going to be there, right? Like you're not going to be able to get a clear picture of it. It's not done in the luteal phase.
Yep.
So next one I got, because I know they're on now, is Primo versus VAR for female cycle. What do you prefer? Yeah, when it's time to do it.
Well, I'm assuming this person's okay with injecting then, right?
Yeah, they're fully aware.
I would honestly say Primo.
Why?
Just less liver toxicity. I also have seen just like some people retain some more water on Anavar, just again, depending on the individual. I've never seen anybody retain any type of crazy water on Primo. And it can be ran for a longer duration. That, just
100%.
Yeah, just to simplify like the two main reasons, less liver toxicity, it can be run longer. And third, less water retention.
Yeah, and I think those are, especially the fact that, like you said, the liver toxicity and can be run longer. Like at the end of the day, we all know, like, I just posted about this morning, that like time is the number one factor as it relates to growth. You know what I mean? Like you can't cheat time. It doesn't matter what drugs you're on. It doesn't matter your genetics. Doesn't matter any of these. Like you can't cheat the fact that you need time to build muscle. That's just a biological or physiological like construct of muscle development. Like you need the time. So, it definitely stands to reason that there's, if you can get more time out of Primo because you're not on something that is a little bit more liver toxic and you have a little bit more side effect the longer that we're on it, Primo makes sense in that idea. But the only thing I would say is I do see more, we're talking milligram for milligram. You're probably going to get a little bit more benefit. So let's put it this way. If I put somebody on, let's say 10 milligrams of Anavar, which might be a little high dose to start. I'm just using this as an example. And they're training 5 days a week, and I put them on 10 milligrams of Anavar just on training days prior to training, right? Versus if I put somebody on 50 milligrams of Primo, I would think in most cases, not every, but in most cases, we'll probably get a little bit more of an acute effect or more effect from that Anavar at 50 milligrams a week than we might get from 50 milligrams of Primo per week. Right. So, and that's just my experience with it for most women. Now, again, my thing would be, and I know this might sound like crazy for a female that's asking for the first time, I'm going to add in a secondary anabolic, right? Am I going to add in Primo or am I going to add in VAR? I would say, obviously, always test the water first, get good data, right? Understand how your body reacts to a given compound first and foremost, right? But eventually, the one thing that I do like to do with women that are, serious and that are taking it to a certain point is like, hey, let's explore both. And why not explore both? You set yourself up initially, right, through a longer duration cycle, right? So let's say we're running a full cycle for me, it might be 14 weeks for a female on the longer end, right? Maybe the first, 8 to 10 weeks, we are on Primo. And maybe at some point within that process, we start to integrate a lower dose of Anavar along with the Primo, obviously managing total weekly dosage, right? Milligrams. And then from there, the Primo falls off and we're able to finish the cycle on the Anavar to get more of a maximum effect. So again, that might be something later on where the answer in that case might not be Primo versus VAR, right? Or more so along the lines of like, again, picking the tool for the job at that particular point and what's going to give us the best result at that particular point, right? So I think there's benefits to both. I don't really think you can have a wrong answer though between Primo and VAR, right? Like I think either one is going to do the job pretty well. Both are pretty safe, right? In terms of all the different side effects that we would consider. To Steve's point, you have to consider the liver toxicity when it comes to VAR, but even that, as long as you're not being crazy, right? And you're not in a hard contest prep phase, right? Which could definitely complicate things from a liver enzyme perspective, right? We're not looking at too much collateral damage there. You know what I mean? So again, they're both, relatively safe as long as you're being smart with them and you have some sort of a concept of how to use these things appropriately. So I would just say, initially, flip a fucking coin, pick one. VAR might be easier just because you're taking the pill, but then you got to make sure that you have a sufficient source for Anavar too. Yeah, but well, no different than Primo, I guess too. You can say the same thing about both of them. So we're right back to where we started. Pick one, run it for 8 weeks, see what kind of data you can collect, right, from that 8-week short duration cycle. And then from there, you take the necessary time off, which I would recommend at least like I would, in a female's case, remember, we don't want a 1-for-1, right? So like if I have a male run, let's just say an 8-week cycle and then have them take 8 weeks off, if I get bloods that are good, fine, let's go back on now and push again. For females, we have to give credit to the reality. Like, hey, if we did that, that means 50% of your year, you'd be on these androgen-based virilizing compounds. We don't want to do that, right? That's too much. So I would take a little bit longer time off in between for women, get the necessary lab work to show that we can go back on. And then again, next time, maybe choose the other compound, run that another short duration cycle, see how your body reacts. And then from there, you have the data you need to see which one worked better for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, one thing I've always been told too, and like I know Johnny really preaches, is like with men, it can be like 1-to-1, meaning like you said, do a 12-week cycle, you take 12 weeks off, blood work's good. But for a female, he's always told me like on the safe side is always like 1-to-2, but
2 to
even
1.
just to be safer or what, yeah, 2-to-1, just to be safer, go like 2.5. So if a female runs for 8 weeks, say, or like the last 12 weeks of prep, she's off for like at least 24, just to be safe, just to be safe.
For sure. I would say just be careful on that note too. Like like source wise, be careful here. I have seen it talking about the blood work consult. I did a blood work consult. I think it was last season, maybe it was the season before that, where I had a bikini competitor come to me at 4 weeks out with their coach, and we looked at their lab work and their liver enzymes, literally both AST and ALT, were both in the 400s. Right, and they were only on and they were on 10 milligrams of VAR. And I'm like, there's either no way that this is VAR,
or it's overdosed as fuck.
Yeah, they felt like shit. Yeah, I don't know what the hell it was. Who knows? But it's one of those things where you can easily look at the results that you're not getting and be like, well, this isn't, whatever. I don't know, fucking D-ball or Anadrol or whatever.
Were her fucking eyes like yellow?
No, and that's the thing too. Like she immediately removed it, glutathione, and a couple other things that we put her on, and we got more lab work done 2 weeks out, and they had already dropped significantly, like 100 points each. So it was clearly going in the right direction once it was removed and they put in some liver support. But the bottom line there, and the point is, like, it's easy in that setting, right? Because it's contest prep. You're not eating a lot. You're not really in a position to be able to grow. You're taking something now, and you would expect to get this significant side effect in a negative way if it were something that was more androgenic or more, a harsher compound, if you would. But in reality, again, that would be the one setting where it's like, we don't really know. You know what I mean? We have no idea. Like you might not see that much of a difference, and it's still something different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So
I had to get rid of the Zyn pouch. My bad. But yeah, I would say get the data that you need to know which one works better for you. What do you got, Steve?
I got two like questions about like bodybuilding and like what we do. Like I have a contest prep and a cholesterol one. And then I got 2 questions that are just like, they're kind of good questions, but they're just like, one's kind of a stupid question, but one's like a more serious question. So which
Well,
one you
shoot
want?
from the hip, man. Whichever one you want.
Okay, I'll go with the coaching questions first, I guess. Wait, how can I lower my LDL on steroids cycle? Currently on a cycle of 500 test. What the fuck does it say? Oh, 50 Anavar, 400 Deca, 1 M Arimidex, EOD, and my LDLs on my lab came back at 146.
You're lucky they're not worse on that cycle.
That's what I was gonna say. First off, the test in the deck, I'm surprised. Your dick probably don't work.
How much deck is it?
400 and
Oh,
500 tests.
Honestly, I don't understand why you'd run 50 milligrams of VAR with 500 milligrams of test. Like you're kind of like doing like it's not. I don't really see the point there. Once you have 500
Yeah.
milligrams of test, the VAR is probably not going to be.
So I
doing that
messaged
much
him.
Otherwise,
I messaged him and I said, why, like, what's the point of the cycle? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, and the person never answered. So
yeah. So I don't know what the thought process is with putting the cycle together, but you know, at the end of the day, I would say you took compounds there where, like, especially with the VAR and the Arimidex, even where you're basically like the expectation should be that you have skewed lipids. Like you're not going to make it out of that with your lipids being perfect. And honestly, 140 with the LDL, it's not. We don't want to see it. It's not good. But at the end of the day, what are you 40 points over the range? Like it's not.
yeah, you're on steroids.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly. It's almost like
Yeah.
I would say, you know, definitely put something in to be able to manage it as best you can on cycle. Maybe some red yeast rice, maybe some in that particular case, citrus bergamot, bring up your HDL because that's I'd be more concerned. Where's your HDL at rather than your LDL? Is that HDL completely and totally tanked? What's the total cholesterol at that point? But again, you could put some things in there, some omega-3. You could put some things in there, definitely support the lipids. But at the end of the day, I would say you basically have something there that you're going to have to really work on post cycle and make sure that you bring back into range as opposed to worrying too much or getting anxious about it on cycle.
yeah.
Do you use anything on cycle that you can think of that would be,
Who, me?
yeah, like that you're giving people on cycle to be
I mean,
like
fish oil, bergamot, definitely if
shit.
they're on cycle, 1,000 of that. You know what I mean? Just basic
Yeah.
shit. You know.
looking at the diet too, probably a good.
Well, I was gonna say
recommendation
that
there,
too, like,
getting
where
the
the
right
fuck
essential fats.
I was gonna say too, where are your carbs at? Where are your fats? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's true.
things like that, right? If you're fucking pounding 700 carbs a day, I mean, the fuck do you expect? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, your cholesterol is definitely going to be out of whack. But I think it's a good point that the diet, like making sure that you're getting enough.
Well, that's
healthy
gonna say
fats
too,
in.
and I was gonna say, yeah, make sure you're getting a good fucking amount of olive oils and whole eggs and just macadamia nuts, just
Salmon.
fats. Good, yeah, salmon, just good fats. Like I won't eat salmon. Salmon's fucking disgusting. Like cooked salmon. Ugh.
Salmon is so good.
Oh, raw. I'll eat like raw salmon, like sushi, like sashimi,
Ah.
but cooked salmon. Oh god, the fucking
Even
smell just-
better.
Throw it in the air fryer, get a little crisp going on the
Ugh,
outside.
so good.
Now we're talking.
Now I kind of
You guys
want
are-
salmon. You know
you
what
guys
I've
are
been
just-
on a kick with? Oh, scallops. Woo!
Yeah, scallops are delicious. Too bad they're
Scallops
fucking. You know
are
how much
so
money it
good.
would cost to eat a fucking meal a day
My-
of scallops?
I think it's a 1 pound bag is like $20.
Do you just like brush your
1 pound
teeth
bag.
and use like a half a fucking bottle of like mouthwash after that?
What do you mean?
Of scallops?
Yeah, dude, it's
Scallops are
sweet.
like they don't smell. They're like sweet. They're not fishy.
Yeah. Steve is clearly a uncultured fucking swine.
I'm
He doesn't
fucking
eat
Greek,
salmon.
bro.
He doesn't eat scallops. I think what are you getting
Scallops
scallops
are good.
confused with? Scallions? You think they're onions?
No, dude, this shit just smells like nasty ass.
Have you ever had scallops? They're not fishy.
Scallops?
They're
He's
not
clearly
fishy.
never had
Yeah,
scallops.
I have, dude. My mom used to make
I
them.
understand salmon. Salmon is fishy, but scallops are like, oh, they're so good.
Scallops are
Yeah.
fucking banging.
He's
He's missing out.
So
Yeah, he's
fish
literally
wise,
missing
like,
out.
well, tilapia is disgusting too. So I like red snapper and I love ahi tuna.
I love
Yeah.
anything. I
Tuna's
eat
great.
everything.
Snapper's good.
salmon?
I don't
Ugh.
really mind tilapia as much as other people do too. Like I don't. To
Yeah,
me, it
well- I
doesn't
don't mind
have much
it.
flavor to it. Yeah,
I
it
like
doesn't
cod. Cod is good.
Yeah, cod's
I
not
hate
bad.
cod.
It's
Really,
not
I fucking
bad.
like cod.
Ugh.
I like cod.
It's cod's one of those ones where like it's hard to find a way to cook it. Like you only
Yeah.
I don't like it oven baked. I don't like
There
fish
are
in
All right,
it,
some-
I
period.
guess I'm gonna have to go buy scallops.
No,
Scallops are fucking
please,
banging.
just salt,
Where do I
pepper,
buy
butter
it?
in there.
ShopRite.
so good butter.
Is
Oh,
my wife on here?
um,
Fuck. No, she's not. Let me ask
no.
her.
Do you guys have a Wegmans by you?
Yeah. Hey, Nate,
Wegmans
you know how
always
to
has
make
good
scallops? Yeah, scallops. No, I know we don't have them. Do you know how to make them? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go buy some.
Yeah, they're really,
Oh,
really
but
good.
You motherfuckers think I'm cooking that shit? I can't. I'll
They're
burn
really
the
good.
fucking. I'll burn that.
Butter-
I'll burn
Butter in
house
the
down.
pan, sear them on both
Syrup.
sides, a couple
Whoop,
minutes each
whoop.
sides, you're good to go.
Some grass fed.
That's my next meal with spinach and
I could.
potatoes.
This might
and
be weird,
butter.
but dude, I could eat grass fed butter like with a spoon. That shit is fucking.
I see people doing that on
Shit is
Instagram.
good,
like it's
bro.
I
because-
could,
oh,
but
that's
I
disgusting.
I'd rather put it on my food. But I
It's so
actually
good.
could. It's
Like,
really
so
good.
gross.
Grass fed
It's
butter
good.
melted in the rice, bro. Oh my.
You know what I
God.
used to do as a
melted in
kid? You know what I
anything,
used
I'll
to
take
do
it.
as a kid that it reminds me of? I used to eat chapstick. Like I would just
Yeah, put that on your
so
Tinder
whenever I
profile.
do that, whenever
So-
I-
That's something Bubba would do.
yeah,
It-
exactly.
My son will literally take like when
God.
we go out to eat, like he'll take the butter packet,
And
you
just
know,
eat
and he'll
it.
just like just like take his pancake and like smear it in there and just eat it like it's like, you know, like it
Like a
literally
dip?
doesn't even do syrup on his pancakes. Just dips it in butter and fucking eats it like that. And it's
Marina,
probably
I'm gonna
Perfect.
send you to a speed
clog
dating.
in his
I'm
arteries
sending
at
you to a
age 9.
speed dating, and the first thing I want you to tell every guy is, I eat chapstick.
I eat sticks of butter.
I eat sticks. Of,
Chapstick.
I eat
I-
sticks of chapstick.
That'll wean them out.
You got well, big yeah, or you might find some really weird motherfuckers.
fucking weirdos.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're in for a fat guy. But
What the fuck?
Definitely not.
so do half reps make sense for longer limb people?
What?
The
No.
load would be for do half reps make sense for
No.
people with longer limbs because they would be able to lift a heavier load?
What?
No,
the-
because
no. What?
you're still they don't because you're still missing out on the full contraction.
But what do longer limbs have anything to do with anything?
Well, think about it. If you have a longer limb, I get the point. I get where he's going with this.
Yeah, I get
his-
it, but
I get his,
but you're still
I
missing
don't
out
get
on
it.
like you're still
I don't
missing
get it.
out on like the contraction of the muscle. You're missing out on a full negative, like just because you have longer limbs. I just don't.
well, the idea I think he was saying is bring it all the way down into the negative and only bring it halfway up, so you don't.
But
have
you're
to take
missing
that
the
full extension.
contraction. You're missing the contraction.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be like really nerdy, and I know people don't like that from a science. I mean, from a training perspective, right? Like everybody just and listen. I would also preface this with the reality, like just because there's research on this doesn't mean that you should go away from a full range of motion, right? Like doesn't mean that at all. There's still more science and more research over a longer period of time to support a full range of motion, right? But in the last, just a couple of years here, there's been a lot of research. You can Google this through the Googling stretch
Through the
mediated
Googling.
hypertrophy, right? Stretch mediated hypertrophy. So there is some real like fact to support the reality that there is more signaling in that longer range, right? So when you get into the length and range of whatever you're training, right, there's more stimulus there to support muscle growth than there would be in any shortened range, right? So there is research now over a longer period of time showing that there is more definitive growth in that length and range, even when you're doing a partial rep and not a full rep, right, for muscle growth, as long as you are doing it in that length and range, not the shortened range, right? So there is some research to support that. I don't know if this is where that theory comes from or if it's just the mechanical side of, hey, somebody with a longer limb, instead of falling through with that whole excursion that a shorter limb person doesn't have to do, does it make more sense? My only thing would be, I don't think most people train hard enough or put enough consideration into
matter.
their training to really be able to maximize that. You know what I mean? Where and you also need a proper setup. Imagine being on a leg press, right? And trying to take advantage of the full load that you could work with, right? And only stay in that length and range and do length and partials in that leg. It just wouldn't make any sense. So now you're really limiting your exercise selection, right? On top of the full range of motion. I don't know like how that would translate over to a bodybuilding sense. Right. So it's just for me, I would just say, again, there is research to support that. And I don't want to like pretend like there's not, but I would just say that, ultimately, you're trying to take a path of least resistance process there. I don't know if it's necessarily the smarter path, if that makes sense.
Okay,
I said
well,
if that makes sense 19 times already.
If that makes sense, it does make sense.
What do you got, Steve?
All right. if you were to hit the lottery, what are 5 things that you would buy that would be considered a dumb purchase if you hadn't hit the lottery?
Shit.
It's a hard question, honestly.
5 is a
Probably.
little bit too much.
Yeah, 5 is a lot.
No,
I'd
it really,
probably-
motherfuckers, if you had $500 million in front of you, 5 things would not be too much. You would buy Yankee Stadium, bro. You'd buy the Yankees.
You're gonna buy
playing.
Yankee Stadium of
No.
$500
Well,
million.
you'd buy
and one of the
something,
richest
bro.
franchise-
You would probably buy
Yeah,
season
maybe like
tickets and
fucking
a plane
Derek Jeter's used jockstrap.
and sniff it. You
I would
fucking-
get a
I'd wear that
yacht.
shit to
I'd
bed
get a
every night
boat.
over my face like a CPAP.
A private jet.
Okay, so Tim's at a used jockstrap, Yankee season tickets, and a fucking private jet to get him there. So
I
that's
wouldn't buy
3.
Yankee season tickets. I wouldn't buy Yankee season. There's too many people at Yankee Stadium for me. I'll go a couple times a year. I haven't even been there since like
You know what's funny?
2019.
When I went last week, I brought you up because I was like, yeah, Tim loves Yankees, whatever. And then she's like, he could have came, and I was like, no, he doesn't do that.
All right, so 5
Especially in the
things.
summertime, sitting
Yeah,
around all those
fuck
people
that.
sweating. No way. So wait,
So-
Marina, you had stuff already. What were you saying?
Yacht, like a really nice boat. I would do a private jet. I can't think of other things.
I would
Probably
get,
like a decked out M5.
I think I would have to get. See, I'm not really like a car person where like I feel, but like with the amount of money I spend on fucking car payments every month, I should be driving a fucking what is it, a G-Wagon? I should be
How many
driving a
cars do you
G-Wagon.
have?
I only have the 2 cars, but I bought one recently, which is stupid expensive, and the other
Yeah.
one
You got a new
I
car?
bought. No, the one I got for Christine, but it's just
Oh.
it's yeah. When you get a car right now, the amount of money that you're paying on a monthly payment is
Oh, it's
insane. Period.
ridiculous,
Plain, sweet,
yeah.
and simple. Done. Stop. A lease was up. We needed a new lease, so went ahead and did it. But again, the amount of money I pay in car notes for Kias, for just 2 Kias, I should be driving a G-Wagon, right? But so at the end of the day, I would want to get a nice car for sure, but I'd get a GLE coupe, just for the record.
All right, that's
I
one.
would definitely get a permanent residence in Disney World.
Oh my god.
Okay. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so that's 2.
what else did you say, Marina? You said something else. You said a yacht, a plane.
This is
what else
about
did
you
say?
right now, Tim.
Car.
I know, but she had good idea. Yeah, you
car,
went with
and
car, too,
then
huh?
I'm trying to think of 2 others.
No, gym. I would definitely start my own gym.
Oh,
That's
duh. But that's not
Yeah.
stupid.
Well, I
Yeah,
wouldn't. I couldn't
That's the
do.
point. What is 5
Oh.
stupid things that you'd buy?
But I said
that
it's
if-
not stupid.
No, right, but I would definitely get it. Like if I opened up my own gym and I had $500 million, it wouldn't be an investment gym where I'm trying to make money and
No,
where
it'd
I
be
would
for
put
you.
every single thing. Yeah, it'd be completely and totally too much. It'd be like a 35,000 square foot facility with every piece of equipment. I'd have 5
And no
different
one's
leg
allowed
presses.
inside. Just us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What else would I do?
I don't know what else I'd do.
$100 million. What about you, Steve? What do you got?
I would 100%. Well, the first thing I would do is get the fuck away from here. Like,
Yeah,
and
but where
then-
would you go?
bro, I don't know. I'd buy a fucking plane and probably be like in the mountains of Greece with like my family, my dad's family who doesn't speak a lick
I would go
English,
back
so
to
they wouldn't even-
Switzerland.
Okay, what the fuck is in Switzerland? Anyway, so
Mountains.
I guess if we're talking the question that was asked, just stupid shit
Where was you? I gotta go. I can't wait.
versus realistic shit. Because if it was realistic shit, I would be a lot smarter. But stupid shit, I'd buy a fucking plane, that's for sure. I would definitely buy Rams and Flyers season tickets to away games too, and I'd just have my plane.
That wouldn't even be a stupid purchase because it'd be so cheap to get Rams tickets right now. You'd
Yeah.
be like,
What do you mean?
you get them on a discount because they
Fuck.
suck balls.
They don't suck balls, bro. We made the
Suck some
playoffs.
balls. Yeah. Okay.
But the question is, if it was stupid shit that, like, if I bought season tickets on a plane right now to all the Rams games, people will look at me like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, bro? You can't afford
Yeah,
that."
flying back and
So,
forth.
so you know what I mean. So that's 2 things. I would definitely fucking buy a gym and just make it. It would have like all old Nautilus and Cybex shit everywhere, and probably some new shit too, like Atlantis shit. Was that 3? I would buy a massive fucking mountain house in Greece, like a huge fucking mansion in Greece. And then I would honestly probably buy a house in half of the states in the US.
Okay.
House
How,
in half of
actually,
the states in the
houses,
US.
Yeah,
a bunch
when I
of
say like
houses
half, I
is
mean like
smart.
up north, dude, where it's just like mountains and fucking cold and like there's snow. Like definitely in Alaska. I definitely have like 5 of those houses all across
Ooh.
Alaska, so I can like see the animals and shit. Because I'm a big like dork with like National Geographics and Animal Planet. I just like I love that shit. Like I love going to
Me
the
too,
zoo.
Steve. That's why I'm gonna get my permanent residence in Animal Kingdom in Disney World.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So I can look
yeah.
at all the
Well, I
animals.
said what real men do, not fucking, not fucking Yankees fans that go to fucking amusement
Go fuck
parks.
yourself.
But I would definitely do that though, because say I'm just like Jersey, this place sucks. There's too many fucking people, and that's it. You know, I would just have like my plane take me to like today. I want to go to Montana, and I just want to watch fucking elephants and fucking buffalo.
That's smart.
Run,
I think I
run
do that
across
too.
the
I would
fucking
get
mountains.
houses.
There's no elephants in Montana though. I think you
Whatever,
have to
bro.
rethink
I
your
don't know.
strategy. I
Okay,
get your
fuck-
point though. I get
Okay,
your point.
fuck you. I'd buy
Africa.
one in Brazil too. I'd buy a house in fucking Brazil too.
I have a client in Africa right now. He's posting pictures this morning. I was like, oh shit, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
It is cool.
So that's
Yeah.
what I would say. I would have like a not like a mansion in all these places, but like just a normal house like I'm in now, just so like we could get on the plane, like maybe friends or like me and Nina and like the kids, and we could just like if we want to go to like like have an amusement park, I'll have a house in Orlando, you know. But if we
Yeah.
want to just go and chill in the mountains, like in the winter and have a log cabin, I'll go to Vermont, you know.
Yeah, that'd be another thing that I would do too. I'd buy all of my kids whatever I would need to.
Yeah,
Not all of them.
but
The
that's
oldest one's turning
realistic
into a bitch.
expectations. We're talking about just stupid shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is stupid shit.
Yeah.
But my especially my two youngest ones, my son and my youngest daughter, I would buy them their education, right? So like
Yeah.
not like I'd buy off their school to pass them every year. So it looks like they have a real education. They might end up partially retarded, but it's okay because I have enough generational wealth now where they'll never have to have a real job and they could just stay, you know, I'll put some money in an S&P Vanguard 500. They'll be good. You know what I mean? They'll be good. Right. But the bottom line here is now they can come with me to Disney World and we're just Disney World 24/7. You know what I mean? It's like you wake up today and it's like, what do you guys want to do today? I don't know. Go on the Haunted Mansion again. Cool. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And it would just be that same thing over and over again. Maybe one in each Disney World too. One in Tokyo, one in Paris, one in, Disneyland in California, all that different shit.
Honestly, too,
And it would just, I
now
wouldn't
that you
miss a
said that,
day.
I always said, dude, if I won the lottery, something really fucking dumb I'd be, and this probably just sounds so dumb, but I would 100% like go on like the sets of movies. Like I'd pay to just like watch them film like
I
fucking horror
wouldn't.
movies and
I
shit.
feel like that
Like,
takes
that'd be
away.
horrific.
Yeah, I feel like that
Why?
takes away the art because then you're like behind the scenes and like
Yeah.
Yeah, but
like-
it's just
Or,
something
like,
cool to
ruin it.
see. It's just
Yeah,
something cool to see.
Yeah. I suppose maybe once or twice, but yeah, I would definitely, if I could do something cool and like it's not stupid, but like I would definitely pay to make sure that I have my kids. Like I would never miss another day
Yeah.
of June growing up or my son growing up. I would never miss another day of that shit. That's for sure. I'd pay for
Oh,
that.
bro, you would never be
Aw.
working, dude, with $500 million. You don't have to fucking work.
Yeah, I know, but they
Yeah,
have
that's-
school and all that
yeah.
different shit. It'd be
Yeah.
like, we'd all be home together 24/7. That'd be awesome. That's probably how like celebrities live. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
all right, what's next?
So for women, is there a point within a weight loss phase? You know what? I worded this completely totally different. So is there a point within a weight loss phase or a dieting phase, whatever you want to call it, that you would start to get concerned when you're not seeing results? But they specifically brought up like, that they're eating 1,500 calories and they're not getting the result that they would have thought that they would have. And they said they started at over 2,000 calories and slowly worked themselves down. And now they're just, they're worried because they're at 1,500 calories and not seeing a result.
So how much do they weigh? So because what's
I didn't ask.
You know what I mean? But like I'm just hypothetically saying, dude, like, okay, if you weigh 115 pounds, 1,500 calories is really not that low. You know what I mean? Like low,
yeah,
to where I
100%.
would be concerned. How long have they been in the deficit, right? Where maybe you need a little less food and then try implementing like a high day every week, you know?
They did say it's been 10 weeks, but they didn't mention any refeeds or anything like that. I didn't
How
really
long-
get a chance to go back and
But
forth.
my whole thing is like how, like I guess they're asking how long would it be the concern. If I'm not seeing like at least a fucking 1 to 2 pound weight drop and most importantly, visual changes over 4 weeks, like, okay, let's try and cut again. If I cut you down another 100 calories and I'm still not seeing anything, it's like, all right, let's see if you might need a high day every week because your metabolism's stalling out at some point. You know what I mean? Between those 7 days, it's stalling out at some point. So we'll try a high day, maybe on every 7th day or 6th day, whatever. And then I'll have you send me your weight and photos and your feedback after the high day and then on your normal check-in day. You know what I mean? Some shit like that. But but I don't think I guess it really just depends where you're at look wise and composition wise and how much you weigh, depending if 1,500 calories is even quote unquote too low. You know what I mean?
What do you think, Marina?
No, I think it depends on the context. If you said 10 weeks, I mean, yeah, there could be some adaptations happening. But concerned, I don't know, because to me, 1,500 doesn't sound too low, like too low. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Steve. I think, to like expand on it a little bit, like I just think that there's been this shift over the last few years, especially as it relates to women and the
Mhm.
whole diet culture concept and like, what is low calories? And you nailed it, Steve, in the sense that it's like, dude, if you're, and I know this, I've worked with this person years ago, haven't worked with her, honestly, maybe like 4 years or something. It's been a while. So she could be a widely different weight, right? But I do remember being in like the low 120s and honestly, no offense or anything like that, but not a heavily muscled individual at all, right? And not necessarily somebody trying to be a heavily muscled individual, to her credit. Nothing wrong, like a great physique and everything like that. Just, it's one of those things where you have to really give credit to that reality where it's like, do you need 15, like, is 1,500 calories really a deficit? Is what it comes down to. Maybe if you were, heavily muscled or more muscular, right? And you're 120 pounds, and yeah, we're talking a little bit of a different physique that we have to feed there, a little bit of a different metabolism that we're talking about there. But when you're kind of like, 120 pound, I guess we'll call it, like, lack of better verbiage here, everyday female, right? And we're not necessarily worried about supporting a specific look in terms of the physique outcomes like we would for a competitor per se, right? Like there's going to be a much different requirement there in terms of the day-to-day calories. Could we be seeing some adaptations to Marina's point? Yeah, absolutely, especially over a 10-week stretch. And again, what Steve was saying, like sometimes when we see those adaptations, we have to feed that system before we start to take things down again. But at the end of the day, the reality is 1,500 calories really low? A lot of women, and I know, we always want to, not kind of like give into this idea of a 1,200 calorie a day diet, but at the same time, there are going to be a lot of women that might have to push those lower calorics. The key is just don't leave yourself there for any real length of time without the refeeds or even period. You don't need to be at 1,200 calories for the next 20 weeks. I see too many women get stuck there because they feel better. Oh, my clothes are fitting better. I don't feel as bloated, yada, yada, yada. So they just automatically make that like their new gold standard in terms of where their calories should be. That's a stupid way of looking at it. But you have to remember the metabolism adapts both ways. So the same person that needs 1,200 calories to be able to start to get a difference from weight loss might also be the same person that needs to overfeed a little bit to that, 22, 23, 2,500 calories before they even start to see weight gain.
Yeah, and I always say too, dude, like, I always try to explain like a calorie deficit is a phase, right? It's not something that you can be in all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
like you said, once that adaptation comes and we feel like we have your calories at your lowest point, you start to see that adaptation. All right, there hasn't been any visual changes here in 3-4 weeks, right? For example, okay, let's add the high day in. Okay, we're not, sometimes fucking great, awesome. Like you just dropped 1.5 pounds this week and you're seeing noticeable differences, balanced out across the pictures, obviously from last week to this week, from 4 weeks ago now to this. Your body clearly needed that metabolic spike, right? And that shock, great. And then it might not work for 2-3 weeks and up front, and then you're like, okay, shit, like we probably just either need to push the deficit a little more, or we need to reverse you. We need to build that base of calories back up, and we need to just let things sit and then go back into a deficit, because it's a phase. It's not a way of living, right? And maintenance is a way that you can maintain, right? Not pushing in a deficit and lowering calories every fucking 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it is, right? So,
Mm. Yeah, the other thing too is this person did say they were still having a cheat meal every week.
oh, well,
That
what
could
the
be the
fuck?
difference maker. Yeah, especially at 1,500
That could
calories.
be a
Like,
huge difference maker. So,
Yeah.
for example, right, and this is how I always, Tim, you both would probably agree, but like, tell someone, okay, your cheat meal here. I actually just went through this with a guy like a month ago. I've been helping him for 2 years. He's lost in total 65 pounds, right? He had a cheat meal the whole first year, every single week. And then I was like, listen, dude, we've gotten you down from 265 to 200 flat. We need to push, bro. And like, I pushed your deficit as low as I feel comfortable and that it's working, right? We saw the adaptation. We have to pull the cheat meal. You know what I mean? And within like a month after pulling him having a burger, fries, ice cream every week, he fucking lost 5 more pounds in like a month. And then we started to reverse him out because we saw 2-3 weeks where there was no drop. And I'm like, listen, dude, you're 200 pounds, bro. We're eating around like 1550 calories. Like, let's just get things up a little bit. Your body has literally been in a progressive deficit for a year straight. Like, it's worked, obviously. You're much fucking healthier. His labs like were a complete turnaround, dude. Everything on them, his hormones, everything. And the dude wasn't on TR. He was 40 and some. He's 40 something. I'm still helping him. And I try to tell people like if your cheat meal, say it's 1,500 calories, divide that by your 7 days, you're adding in another, what, fucking 200 calories a day? You know what I mean? Like that could be your
exactly what I might remove to be able to get somebody moving again.
yeah, and that could be your whole cardio session you just did, depending on where the intensities of cardio is at. Because let's be real here, right, guys? Not you can tell somebody I need you at a 135 heart rate, I need you at 150 heart, whatever the case is. I'd say 5 times out of 10, the person's on cardio and they're just fucking strolling. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because we're out there to see it, and then the people that are like taking cardio as it should be, like this is the kick my ass,
Yeah.
and like this counts. So, that's how I break it down for people. I'm like, yo, this is an extra 200, 250 calories a day. Like, you just negated your fucking 5 cardio sessions this week. You just negated half of the fucking steps you take every day that you make an effort to take.
Yeah. The tricky thing with the cheat meals too is like you have to remember, like subconsciously, like you might not
I know
even
some people
recognize it,
need
but
them to stay on plan.
no, I was gonna say the exact opposite of that. Like sometimes I should say it's the exact opposite, but a different point. When we are continuing to go through that dieting process, right? Like hunger is starting to build. So when you first started the diet and you were having a cheat meal, it might have been something like relatively light. And now 10 weeks into a process, because that appetite is starting to build, the hunger is starting to build. Now you're eating every ounce of that same exact cheat meal and then going back for more based on, however else you're going to include more calories. It's just that cheat meal is now getting bigger and bigger and bigger, now erasing the small deficit that you're trying to continually create as you make changes throughout the process.
Right. Yep. Cool.
All right, what do you got?
You got any more?
I'm done.
Okay, this is my last one. What are the 3 most important things you've learned about life in the last 10 years that you would tell a 21-year-old?
Oh shit. Wait, I'm sorry. The 3 most important things about life that you would tell a 21-year-old?
That you've learned in the last 10 years that you would tell a 21-year-old? It's a good
I have
question.
one.
I would say honestly, if I was going to tell a 21-year-old anything, it's something that I tell my older kids all the time. It's like, fucking dude, what you think is hard work, like it should always be something where you're trying to outpace that. Like when you think you're working hard enough, like
Do more.
like work harder. Like never, ever, 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 ever put
Like
yourself in
that.
a position where you feel like you're working as hard as you possibly can. There's always another level of work that you could put in, and just about anything that we want to accomplish in life is going to take you to level up that standard that you set for yourself in terms of what hard work is. Like work harder. Like that's the number one thing that I think I've learned through my adulthood and getting to where I'm at right now. It's just, the amount of effort that you have to put into certain things is going to far surpass what you thought. And I remember when I was younger thinking that, I would be happier if I had a job that was easier. I'd be happier if I had, whatever. I always used to think like easier, right? And like that was like the ticket. And it's like it's never going to get easier. Like you want better, you have to work harder, and like you get more out of that.
Yep. Marina, even though you're much younger than us.
I kind of I don't know. Because I
So-
kind of was gonna say what Tim just said. Go, Steve.
So my first and foremost one is to pay attention to your mental health. That, like, to me, should be number one, I feel like, with everybody. Obviously just because of like my past, but also too, I've seen some people get really fucked up, and it takes a lot once that hole is built. The hole doesn't go up anymore, it just keeps going down. You know what I mean? So that would be always my number one. Number two would be to be more present. Make sure you're present, like in all you do, whether it's with your relationships, friends,
I have it.
family, anything, right? The third one I would say would be stay off social media. And to go off of Paul, I don't even know how to pronounce her thing. but Paulina, yeah. I wrote down here too, the thing with college, don't stress thinking that college is, in quotes, education and the only means of having a productive income. Because I know a lot of people that make way more money being an entrepreneur for themselves or in blue collar union work than people with 70K of student debt do. Remember,
Mhm.
college is a business. That's one thing I'm going to tell my girls, like, you do not need college to make a good living. 100%. And God knows in fucking 16, 17 years what it's going to be. But if this was like right now, you don't need college to be educated. You don't need college to have a good career and make money, right? And like provide for you, a spouse, a family and kids. Like you don't need it anymore. You know what I mean? Um, Most of these kids come out of college and they're like 100K in debt. They're fucking paying off student loans for the rest of their life. Like,
Yep.
so.
So sorry,
go
go.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So my thing is not to focus or get caught up in fake stuff. So college, whether it is chasing the corporate ladder or climbing the corporate ladder, like all these outside things, when really what matters is you being a good fucking person and working hard. So I think too many people get caught up in what society is telling us that's important, like your job, going to school, money, materialistic things, that then you forget to develop yourself as an actual good person.
Well, let me just pile on that then. And I think my other thing was going to be, and maybe I only have two, but like, stop worrying about what other fucking people think. Like, I did that for a very long time when I was younger in high school, getting out of high school. It was part of my social anxiety, right? I still probably do care too much about what other people might think or how other people perceive certain things. But like, don't waste your time with that. Especially nowadays. I know Steve brought up social media in a negative sense, but like, look at some of the people that you might know on social media where when you were a little bit younger, those people, you're looking at them and you're like, dude, what the fuck is this person doing? They look like a fucking idiot on social. And then all of a sudden they have 180,000 followers and they're getting paid, whatever, $20,000 a month off of their social media. And right. And you thought that they were a fucking loser idiot because of the way they were going about, like, and because you were judging them inappropriately. That's just one example where I think it's really glaring in 2024. There are a lot of people that were, or who's a good example of this too. And don't ask me why I know this. I don't fucking know. It was probably something that I saw scrolling on Facebook or something like that, and I got too zoned into it. But who was a perfect example of this? The kid Jack Harlow. You know what I'm talking about? The white rapper kid.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, he had a big song on. So exactly. You might not.
I don't like the
but
and you can tie me down. That one.
Yeah, that was like one of the biggest things. You definitely have heard his music before for sure. But like if you go back and look at like his origin story, because he was posting things on social media like really, really early on. He was a nerd loser white kid in school that people used to pick on and they would tease him. But like he was also very passionate about, and he just stuck to it. And he didn't give a shit, and he just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And now he's literally one of the largest, music people in the world today, like literally, you know what I mean? And all he did was kept doing the things that people teased him about doing when he was in school, and everybody thought he was a loser. Everybody thought that he was like just weird, and he had the same stupid white kid fro that he has now, and he looked like a complete and total nerd, right? But now he's got all the money so he can make it look good, and now he's a fucking sex symbol. You know what I mean? It's like you never know how things go. Like, do what makes you happy.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that 100%. I still think that a lot of more people use social media to escape reality than
Yeah, I
people
didn't
do.
mean to like glorify social
Than
media. I was
people
just using it as an
do, yeah,
example.
to use
Yeah.
it like, there's definitely people who use it like, I don't even know who these two kids are, bro, on Instagram and YouTube, but I watch like they make like they put like a box up and like they take challenges from people. Like these motherfuckers like brought a bath into Bath and Body Works and literally the kid in a bathing suit just took a bath in front of the fucking register. And like they're being asked by mall security to leave, and the Bath and Body Works manager is like, "Oh no, just don't make a mess, like whatever." And he starts recording. Like they just do stupid shit. Like I don't know. I was watching one earlier. It was like go through the drive-through at McDonald's and don't roll your window down, break it. And like the kids at the drive-through, and the lady has his soda and the bag out. He just fucking smashes the window, and she just like dropped all the food. Like they do stupid shit. But dude, they have like millions of likes and views on the videos. They're probably making 50K a month just doing dumb shit, and it's like good for them. They're doing dumb shit, and they've created a viewable thing to make people laugh and feel good after a fucking long day of work or whatever. But like, that's what one in how many thousands of fucking people.
For sure. I was just using it as an example.
Yeah, no,
What
I
else you
get
got,
it though.
Marina?
What?
What else you got? You had something else.
No, that was really it. I didn't, you guys kind of nailed the rest.
Sweet.
I think we should do a YouTube channel like that. Just dads doing stupid shit.
And then Marina is
Well,
what,
no,
the child?
we'll just bring
The
Marina
child.
along, and she'll have like the cue cards and like they'll tell us what to say and shit, or like just they'll have our challenge on it, and we just don't say a fucking
And
word.
she'll just end up yelling at you the entire time. Put your headphones in.
true.
No, she just won't speak at all.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's stuck to my mouth.
We'll just leave her as a mystery character.
Perfect.
That would be fun.
She'll be like the character you never unlock in the game. She's like the shadow character. She just holds up the cue card, and we just do stupid shit. Apparently, I don't know, man. That maybe it's just me, but I like watching people do stupid shit.
That's such a
Yeah,
boy
I
thing.
mean, yeah, I don't know.
No, you.
I'm a scroller on Facebook. Like my thing is you know what I get sucked into is like comedy on Facebook. Like I follow like literally every comedy outlet you could possibly follow
Yeah.
on Facebook, and then cooking stuff.
Yeah, the worst is
yeah,
when you're sitting on the
each their own.
toilet and it's like 37 minutes. You're like, I have not been shitting for 37 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? And then I'm like 82 videos deep on the fucking Instagram
Yeah.
reels.
And then
Oh, God.
all you hear is your wife screaming at you like, "What the fuck are you doing in
Yeah,
Your
here?"
scallops
I'm
are ready.
as I'm sending her the reels from the
Yeah,
toilet.
yeah. Like,
That's
I'm
funny.
shitting. Like, no, now you got hemorrhoids.
All right,
The
let
other-
me sign us off.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks everyone
Yeah.
for listening. We'll catch you guys next week.